Good evening and welcome. I'd like to call to order the February 14th, 2023 Old Bridge Township Council meeting. Please rise for a pledge of allegiance. Please remain standing for a moment of silence and for our prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. As customary in this chamber, we stand for a moment to remember those who are protecting our freedoms, both here and abroad, for our first responders, for those who have made the ultimate sacrifice. And this evening, Dr. Greenberg?
Yes, a moment of silence. Excuse me. A moment of silence, please. When we reflect and remember Eunice Drumfor, a Sayreville councilwoman who was tragically, her life was cut short at 30 years old. Councilman Garcia and myself, we went to the Epic Church International Church in Sayreville for their services, and they spoke so highly of her and how much she was concerned about human relations and how much she loved her community. And she was a pastor also. And it's so tragic to think of what could happen in front of your home and to know that she left behind a young daughter. And also at this time for Russell Heller. He was only 51 years old and he was a councilman in Milford Borough. Their lives were cut short and by senseless murders. And may they rest in peace, and please pray for them, their families, and loved ones. And it is difficult to understand that people don't respect life. So please keep them in your prayers. Mona's been a silence. Thank you.
Mayor Henry? You good? You're good. Okay. Mr. Pasquetti, the prayer, please.
Dear Lord, bless thy servants in the ministry of public affairs who serve thee in this chamber. Give us quiet minds and hearts that we may hear thy voice. Help us to know when to speak, when to be silent. Give us strength to oppose the wrong and uphold the right. And grant that we have a good conscience and soul at peace with thee and with one another. Amen.
Amen. Please be seated. Mr. Murphy Councilman Murphy would like to make a statement at this time. Do we want to do roll call first?
Thank you, Mary. First of all, this is probably the only nice thing I have to say tonight. I just want to wish everybody a happy Valentine's Day. They think they may have a liver for me, but this is the third time we went through that, and if they do, I will probably be missing some meetings after that. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Murphy. Roll call, please.
Councilperson DeCaro.
Here.
Councilperson DePalma.
Here.
Councilperson Desai.
Here.
Councilperson Garcia.
Here.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg-Belli. Here. Councilperson Murphy.
Here.
Councilperson Pasquetti.
Here.
Councilperson Walker.
Here.
Council President Sohar.
Here. Here. Okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. We'll be starting.
This meeting is being held in conformance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Notice has been given to the official newspapers of the Township on December 16, 2022, and has been posted in public places. Next open meeting of the Township Council will be held on Tuesday, February 28, 2023 at 7:30 p.m.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. First will be presentations, 2023 roadway resurfacing evaluation and ranking presentation by Nicole Shapiro, Director of Community Development, and Township Engineer Fred Kish, Assistant Township Engineer, and Casey Lenning, Director of Department of Public Works. Good evening, everyone, and thank you very much.
Yes, I'll say a few words. Thank you, Council. One of the important things we invest in the township, and there's no better way of investing in our community than street restoration and paving. There's a lot, as we know, Old Bridge is a very large town. There's a lot of streets. We've come a long way over the last 12 years as far as putting the effort forth and getting the job done. It seems like only 12 years ago, when I took over, and the year before prior, there was no investment made into the community. And we started every year more and more and more. And again, this year, I think we're going to be at historic levels of investing back into the community, which everyone who lives on those streets of paved sees a difference in their property values and their quality of life. So Nicole and her staff has done a great job. We've evaluated roads, the roads that need to be improved. It's not who lives on those roads as it used to be, but now it's the road that needs to be paved. So I will turn it over to Nicole in our engineering department and Mr. Lennings from Public Works Department. If we get our technical. Take it away. Okay. Puppets or something. But I'm sure you would agree, Council, that this is very important to our residents.
And it's a big job. Yeah.
Ranking, and it's a living document. Each year we reevaluate to make sure some roads have deteriorated quicker than expected. Okay, looks like we got it now.
Success.
Enjoyed
okay.
our show.
All right.
All right, technical difficulties tonight. Thank you, Council, for giving us the opportunity to give you a presentation tonight on the Old Bridge Township Road Resurfacing Evaluation and Ranking. You may recall, some of you were on Council in 2017 when I was in front of you with Kyle Harris, our previous DPW Director. He and I had toured the roads in 2017 and basically evaluated any road that wasn't resurfaced within the last 10 years. We did that because we had a document from Remington and Vernick that evaluated all the roadways within the township in 2007. And so we wanted to use that as a basis for our point system and carry that forward, and then create a 5-year plan. Well, here we are in 2023, and that 5-year plan is complete. And we want to bring forward to you tonight another 5-year plan from 2023 onwards. And so instead of Kyle Harris and myself doing the tour, Fred Kish, our Assistant Township Engineer, and our Director of DPW, Casey Lenning, had gone out over probably about a 5-month period and toured not the roads that have been resurfaced in the last 10 years, but all the roads within the township, to start off at a clean slate and to see what's going on with our township roadways. Mr. Kish is going to talk about our evaluation system and what he has added to it this year to give it a little bit more complete evaluation. Then Casey's going to go into talking about how we're going to maintain, once we resurface these roadways, what's our maintenance plan going forward to try and extend the life of the roadway. And then I'm going to finish up at the end and talk about lighting in our residential communities. And I think more recently, within the last 6 weeks, I've seen a huge uptick in a lot of conversation about adding additional lighting. So I want to close the session with that and then talk about our next steps. So let me hand it over to Mr. Kish, and he's going to continue with just our roadway evaluation.
Good evening, everybody. I just wanted to tell you, during the road tours, Casey and I, we evaluated every single road within the township. We evaluated the types of cracks within the roadway.
The public out. This is an important topic out there. Everybody listens to this.
We evaluated the types of cracks and the severity of the cracks, how many cracks were on each of the roadways. We also counted how many potholes, trench repairs, if there was curb reconstruction, because if there was curb reconstruction, we want to maybe resurface the road sooner than later. Also, if there was any drainage improvements, and what we just added for this new evaluation was the age of the roadway. So basically, we're trying to add more data so we get a better product. Right? After we completed the road tours, I would say the road tours took around 5 months to complete. After we completed that, all the data had to be inputted into a an Excel spreadsheet, which is like combined all the data and gave a ranking system. Okay. Oops. Okay. So our ranking system was pavement cracking. We had minor, moderate, and severe. For minor crackings, we deducted 2 points. For moderate, 4 points. Severe, 6 points. This was based off 100 points. So we started off with 100 points. If the road was minor, they get a -2 on that, so they went down to 98. But we also counted the number of potholes that we observed during the tour, and we took those potholes and we minused it by a -4. We minused it by multiplying 4 times each pothole and get a lesser number. Same thing with trench repairs. We multiplied it by the -2. Curb reconstruction, we did a -5. Drainage improvements, another -5. And the age of the roadway, we took the 2022 and minused it by the year. So if the road was last constructed in 1995, it was like 27 years old. So we minus 27 from that. So it started off from 100 and it worked its way down. This is the spreadsheet that we use. I know it's pretty small and it's hard to read, but it wasn't intended for you to read. We tried to break down, we ranked each road and we broke them down by color system. And the color system basically was our budget. So if you can see on the top, it's pink. That's our budget for that year, for 2023. And the next one down, it was like a little bit of a yellow color. And that's our budget for the next year. And the spreadsheet, I'll be honest with you, it has 800 data, 800 segments of roads in it. So I can't show you the whole thing. It would be just 15 and 20. All right. So when we were doing the road tours, the ward tours, I'm sorry, the types of pavement crackings we were observing were like minor cracks. Those were just like a singular crack along running with the road, or it could go across the road. We had other cracking, which is sort of like a block cracking, where it started developing more cracks than the singular one. And then we get to the last one, which is a severe cracking, which is similar to like an alligator hide. It's a lot of small cracks in one little area. That's very severe, and we want to address those as soon as possible. So our ranking system showed that we minus the 6 points for that if it was a severe crack. This next slide, it shows the types of potholes that we have. You can see the severe alligator crack, and we have, DPW does go out and they do pothole repairs, but it's just localized. It doesn't really solve the problem until we fix the problem. Right? So here you'll see a couple of potholes, and this is what we were trying to count and address during the tour. This next slide shows the first picture on the left side shows what we would like to do with pothole repair. That would be to cut out the entire pavement and to repave that section. We are currently looking at buying a small paver, which will be able to do this. It's a much better product than doing the isolated pothole repairs, and it would help with extending the road life. The other two pictures show like utility connections, like utility repairs. We counted these in an evaluation. If we might find like 5 of them, and so we counted them. We minus I think it was 2 points that we minus from it, and made the score just kept on going lower from 100 down. And the last one is the gas main trenching. You're going to see a lot of this. PSE&G is doing gas main upgrades throughout the town. We, okay.
I'm sorry.
Sometimes we don't have the utility companies pave that trench. We want the trench to settle a little bit before they do pavement. Or sometimes we do systems where we know that we're going to that road, and we might tell them, this thing is going out. We might tell them not to pave the road, that we'll pave the road because it's in our road audit, or that we were anticipating to pave the road in the next year. Okay. So the next slide shows the concrete curb. This is what it looks like when we're done. It looks pretty nice. It has a 6-inch face. We try to maintain a 6-inch face, but it might be a little bit off. Then also, you'll see where we have drainage repairs. I don't know if you could, if I could point to it. No, I can't. But the crack, I mean the pavement closer to the inlet is for the curb repair, and the one that's further out was when we did the drainage repair. This is our 5-year program. So right now, we show 81 streets in our program. There are more, because we work with PSE&G. We're also working with New Jersey Natural Gas. We work with OBMUA, and they are doing some upgrades within their system, and this number is not representative of what will happen every year because it's going to be larger. We also have grants that we apply for every year, multiple times a year. The NJDOT local grant has Throckmorton Lane. We have a Phase 1 and a Phase 2. We have also a local freight impact grant, which is for Waterworks Road and Prime Road, and another section, 2 sections of Waterworks Road. And we have transportation alternative set aside, which is County Route 516. We're doing the pedestrian improvements along 516. That's just adding a walking trail. And also, we have Control Farm Park, where we want to do a sidewalk and a bicycle lane that goes around the park. PSE&G, as you know, has been doing work for, I guess, the last 5 years or so. They have 7 phases of work. They're just about to complete, I think, the 7th phase. It's approximately 23 miles of road work that they were doing on 129 roads, which benefits us in a way because we work with PSE&G to try to barter. Okay, you pave this road, you pave half of this road, we'll pave this. And we have a system with them, and we've been doing it for years, so it's working for us very well. And these are the type of trenches you'll see. You'll see the temporary trench, and then you see a half-paved pavement width restoration, and then you'll see a full pavement width restoration. New Jersey Natural Gas is doing work within the Bay, I guess the Bayview Drive in Lawrence Harbor, and they're also doing another one on Shoreland Circle in Lawrence Harbor, and they're connecting streets. So when they're completed with that, they're going to pave a majority of the roads. They might not pave all of them. It's all on how we work the system with them. Same thing with OBMUA. They're doing some work in Lawrence Harbor. They're upgrading their water mains, and they're going to do full width reconstruction. We didn't give them a choice. You know, they're doing it. Okay, I'm going to turn this over to Casey now.
Hello, Council. just like to say good evening. I'm going to be entering into my 15th year of service with the Department of Public Works next month. And I can tell you, over the last 15 years, the quality of the roads in Old Bridge have increased every year. One of the main jobs when I first started was pothole repair. And every year, that task, diminishes a little bit. And that shows that the administration, council, engineering, and public works are all working together to improve the roads of Old Bridge. That benefits every resident and anybody who visits Old Bridge. So back in 2018, we're looking for ways to protect our investment. Our investment are the roads that we pave. So we saw a lot of information about crack sealing. So we started up a program, and we picked a few roads. Valley Vale was one of the first roads we did. And we crack sealed that road. Fred and I revisited that road during our road audit, and other roads that were paved the same year as Valley Vale that weren't crack sealed were in need of repair. Valley Vale held up. So it shows that that program's working. And we were really excited about that because, I pay taxes. I want to see our investment protected. So unfortunately, during COVID, we had to, redirect the department, and we couldn't crack seal. But last fall, we were able to restart the program, and we have a whole list of roads that we crack sealed. So what is the criteria for crack sealing? As soon as 2 years after the road is paved, we want to be out there checking the road, making sure that we're protecting our investment. And if we see a roadway that is starting to develop cracks, we will go out and crack seal it. We rent the machine every year based on all the information we're being told. The rental's the way to go because they're such high maintenance pieces of equipment. So until they're able to figure that out on their end, we're going to continue to budget for that rental. And every year we increase that budget just a little bit so we can make sure we're improving the program. So there's just a small picture. It shows a crack going across the roadway. The reason for crack sealing is if you let moisture get into that crack, especially in the winter, it freezes, the water expands, and it creates a pothole. So if you could prevent that water from entering the roadway, that's your first line of defense. Next slide, please. So we have a, did you skip a slide? Or was this removed? I'm sorry, I have an extra slide. So after, we saw the success with the crack sealing program, we then, Fred and I were able to go to East Brunswick where we saw a demo for what they call slurry sealing. And this is like the strongest driveway sealer. I don't even want to compare it to that, but that's the only thing I could get close to, that you can utilize on certain roadways, and that's another layer of protection above and beyond crack sealing. So in the upcoming budget, we actually have money dedicated to starting a new program for the residents of Old Bridge. This wouldn't be ideal for every road, but dead-end streets, cul-de-sacs, low-volume roadways that might not meet the criteria of paving, we could extend the life 5 to 7 years of those roadways, and it also makes the road appealing. You could see they weren't done during this picture. You have the curb, and then there's about a 4-inch gap. That was pavement. That wasn't that old, but you could see it was already started to fade. Then the sealer went over it, and I actually revisited this a few weeks ago, and it's still in really good shape. So I'm optimistic for this new program, and I really think that's going to protect our investment and take our roadways to the next level. With that, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask, or I can turn it over to Nicole. Mr. Murphy? Oh, I'm sorry. Very good.
I've always believed in what you've done, and you're coming up with some great ideas. Just keep it up. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we communicate with the utilities, so we get information on what projects they're doing, so then we can piggyback with them, but yet at the same time, we're not going to go in and pave a road that they're going to do a project on a year later. So that's what happens, and in fact, the county did that, where our county money went down the toilet because on Cottrell Road, they paved that, and there's supposed to be a 5-year moratorium, and they're putting in a new doing road work on there. So it's very wasteful. So you do your due diligence. It's very much appreciated. And the formula of the program is really can be applied into perpetuity, and it's working. Thank you so much.
I have a question for you. Sure. Regarding the gas main trenching, as you know, Ward 1, there's a lot of work being done. We were told they would let it settle for a few months and then come back in the spring. Now, who holds them accountable? Do we call them, or they just come and take care of it? How does that work?
No, we're in direct communication with utility companies. There's been some, I think, resident feedback that they left the roadway a mess and it hasn't been paved, but the asphalt plants basically close December 15th and don't reopen until about March 15th. You don't want them paving at this, in
No,
this.
no, I
weather,
understand
yeah.
that totally, but I just want to make sure there's a follow-up. In other
Oh,
words,
gosh, yes.
these
yes.
roads, because some of them were
Yeah.
just paved nicely, and all of a sudden they're destroyed again. They're like, well, what happens if they don't come back?
No. We have a good relationship. We do monthly meetings with our utility companies, even with OBMUA, the county project that Councilwoman Anita Greenberg had mentioned now. We have bi-monthly meetings on. Even though not much has started on that project, they are starting utility relocations, and then they had contacted us today to apologize for the late notice on the start for Verizon. But sometimes with the utility companies, they're not really going to commit to a start date until they know for sure that there is a commitment on a team. So we're in constant communication with the county, with our utility companies, and then also internally.
One more quick question, if you don't mind. The 5-year program, I see listed number 1 through 81. Is that how it's going to work, or that's just 81 sites?
No, those are the top 81 roadways. Usually we stick to that schedule. If anybody was following our 5-year program from 2017 to 2023, we did sometimes skip out of order because of coordination with the utility company. If we say we're going to be out there and they say, well, we're going to rip up the road, we kind of hold back on that roadway to make sure that they go first, because then it makes bartering a little bit easier for us, you know? So even irregardless of the gas modernization projects or the water main projects, we actually, especially with PSE&G, every January 1st, they come to us with a form. It's called a look-ahead, a paving look-ahead form that they want us to fill out so that we can sort of coordinate with them, hey, this is what we have in mind, and then they come back to us and say, oh, but we have some modernization that we have to do on that roadway, can you hold off? And that's when the bartering happens. So, you know, I know that, a few months back, PSE&G had come out and they had that conversation with council on how we work together. It's similar with New Jersey Natural Gas, with the Old Bridge Municipal Utilities Authority, and we work collectively with them.
Okay, good, thank you.
I'd just like to add to that, especially Shoreland Circle, all those streets over there. We took the opportunity, the Public Works Department took the opportunity to inspect every storm drain, every manhole in that area that we knew was going to get paved. We made 25 repairs in that small section. Even if it's one loose brick, we want to secure our infrastructure to make sure that we're not going to have a sinkhole 2 years from now in a freshly paved road. So working with everybody, it really does help out, you know, and the residents might not realize it right away, but we are really working together to make the roads better for everybody.
I just want to thank all of you for your hard work. Like the mayor said when we took office, it was back then, every ward got the same amount of money. So some roads were being paved over and over and over while other ones were not. And so now with all the money being put in, the roads are getting better and better as we go along. And I like the fact that with PSE&G, you know ahead of time if they're going to do the road work, so it's not dug up twice. And I just really want to thank you guys for all your hard work.
Thank you.
Mr. Pescetti.
Yeah, I also want to thank you very much. Now, you guys know I've been in town over 50 years, and the roads are in the best shape that I've ever seen them. So you guys are doing a good job. Keep up the good work. On the utility thing, when they dig they're putting in the new mains. They did a great job in Southwood. But I got a call from a resident. They said they left it was rocks all over the place, pebbles. Can we get them to use a street sweeper or?
If you give us the location, I mean, we're out there intermittent to check their work. I know that there was some issues with around the Voorhees School. So even I, in my covert my own car, I kind of done a sneak attack just to see what was going on, to see if they were following, and they were following. They usually don't close the road, especially near a school, prior to 9 a.m. I did make sure that the vehicles that they had on the side were secured, that they had, proper, preemption signs.
Stay away.
It's definitely not my fault. So that we're aware of what's going on and that the vehicles there are, actually secured on the street. So we do coordinate with them. So if there's an area, please bring it to our attention, and then we work with them directly to have that cleaned up.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
I don't, sorry. No, Councilman Zaccaro, I have 2 more slides, so I don't want anybody to forget about me.
I'll wait for you to finish. I'll wait for you to finish.
He was eager for the questions. This is the first slide on lighting. I just wanted to, more importantly for the residents at home, to bring to their attention how, street lighting works in our town, especially for our residential communities. When an application from a developer when an application comes in front of our planning and zoning. Okay. We have an opportunity to review the lighting for an application. Okay, we have an opportunity to review an application in front of our planning and zoning board. And so what we do is we have our lighting standards in our land development ordinance. So we make sure that they meet the minimum requirement. And then, of course, when they go to construction, we're out there to make sure that what's on their approved plans is what they actually construct out there. So usually around this time of year, I get numerous complaints from a lot of the residents, like the HOAs, those that are private roads. And they say, well, we think we need more lighting on our roadways. We want you to come and evaluate it. Well, what I do internally in our office is we take a look at the existing approved plans. I make sure that they meet the minimum and maximum average for their foot candle readings on the roadway. I make sure that the sidewalk is adequately lit. Now, they want more lighting. So I explain to the HOAs, I say, you have to go to an engineer, and you have to have them come back to me with a lighting analysis of, I'm sorry, I'm going to back up a little bit. They want to change their lighting to LED. So I say to them, you have to come back to me with a lighting analysis on the LED. It's different than the incandescent lights. LED lights don't spill as far. Their spillage or their coverage isn't that far. So when you have LED lights, you have to space them closer together than incandescent lights. They understand that. Now, when you place more lights on the roadway, you then have to run wiring to it and conduit, and you have to purchase the poles and the lighting fixtures, and then you have to pay for that utility. Well, if you're an HOA, we then, you get reimbursed for the lighting, and certainly we could take that, but the responsibility for putting that lighting on a private community would then be the responsibility of the HOA. Now, take, for example, a public roadway. Well, no matter whether you're private or you're public, you go through that same planning board and zoning board application process. Well, we make sure that when we're in that process, that you meet the minimum requirement. A lot of people have been coming to me recently and saying, I don't feel secure in my neighborhood. I don't feel that the lighting is adequate enough because of security purposes. And JCP&L, just the same as I do, is I say the lighting on the street is not for security. It's to meet a minimum requirement. Remember when you travel through the state of New Jersey, there are some communities that don't even have any lights on their streets. So don't use street lighting as a full sense of security. What I do at my own home is I light my house. I put sensor lights on the side and rear of my house. I light the front of the house. I light my landscaping beds. I light even my street trees. So when somebody walks up to my front door, they are seen. They are seen by me in the house. They are seen by the people across the street. What happens when you start adding lights to a street is, let's say Fred has a house and he has no lights in front of his home. And now I'm the HOA president. I run a lighting analysis. I say, okay, we're going to change to LED lighting, but to meet the requirements, I'm going to put 10 more lights on the street. Now Fred has no street light in front of his house, and now there is one. So one, when he sells his house, he's going to take a picture of the front of his house and he's going to have a light. Some people might not mind that. When he goes to sleep at night and he looks out his window, he's going to look at a light. Is he going to be able to sleep well? So there's a lot of things that go on with lighting, but street lighting is not meant for the purpose of security. It's meant to meet a minimum requirement for spillage on a sidewalk and for spillage on a street. So it's different. If an HOA wants to come back to us and they want to say, we want more lighting, we can certainly assist them, but we cannot afford to pay for it. There is one development that just came to me, and they were having a lot of issues with security. So their application came in front of our board in 2006, prior to the time of Fred and I being with the engineering department. So I went and I looked at their lighting plan. The first thing I do is I look at the lighting plan to see what their foot candle readings are, what that min to average is. So I looked at it, and then there's nothing but the lights themselves. And then there's a little note that says, JCP&L is going to provide the lighting design. Never seen that. Even in the private sector, never seen that. So I go to JCP&L, I ask our representative, I said, can you talk to your design unit and ask them for the plan that they provided to this developer that shows that this meets the minimum requirement? She comes back to me and says, the developer just asked for 4 lights. There was no design. So now we have something that was constructed where Fred and I now have to look. That's a public street. Now we have to look to see if it meets the lighting requirements because that wasn't done in the planning and zoning board stage. Those are anomalies. Those are not what happened, especially when we're in the engineering office. I could tell you certainly anything that's come in front of the planning and zoning board since I've been here has had to meet the minimum requirements. So in a nutshell, what I say to residents out there is work on lighting your home. Now, I'm not saying it should be like the Taj Mahal or something, like the Bellagio in Vegas, but you should give a sense of security where if somebody's walking up to your front door, they're being seen, So I say that first. And the second thing is really talk with your HOA and see if they want to increase the lighting, within their development. I know that there's a lot of dog walkers and a lot of walkers at night and it's dark out, So I know that they want to be seen, but remember the purpose of street lighting. And so when I reiterate this to our residents, they understand it, and they know that there's a lot of cost associated with it. They take it back to their HOA, but certainly the engineering department is here to assist. So I just wanted to bring that forward to council so that you could, advise residents if they're reaching out to you. Certainly, they can reach out to us, and we could guide them in any way possible.
I just want to caution on reimbursement because it's a formula driven. So, if they put more lights and sometimes they have misunderstanding that town will reimburse entirely the cost of lighting. It's not an entire cost of lighting. It's based on what is cost to the township for the entire town versus their development. And that formula brings in an amount that is nothing close to really what it costs to the HOA because they will generally have a lot more lighting in the development. So I just want to caution council member that you might get a question, and I also want to caution the residents that are listening to this that it's not 100% reimbursement.
Thank you, Himanshu. I want to recap. So tonight we talked about the paving program, and we did come up with those 81 roadways for the next 5 years. But remember, as I said before, we use other people's money. We try and go out for grants. So that's just the minimum that we do in the next 5 years. What I have as our next step is I'm going to come back at the next council meeting and put a resolution in front of you to accept the 5-year program so we can get started. That allows us to get started on design a little bit quicker. Come January 1st, we start on design so that we make sure that when bond ordinance comes in and the money's in place, we're ready to go to bid. Number 2 is, once I get that resolution of support and our bonding is in place, we already started on the 2023 annual roadway resurfacing plans, specs, estimate to go out to bid. And then the last is just know that we continually coordinate with our utility companies. They're available to us, and we certainly work with them, and we are in coordination constantly. So have that reassurance that if you see them doing work, we are aware of the work that's out there. And then, you know, Casey stole my thunder before and he asked for questions, but we are open to questions now. Councilwoman Zakara, I cut you off before, I'm so sorry.
No, that's quite all right. I'm glad you finished, because one of my questions I crossed off. But I just wanted to clarify a couple of things that you had said, just for my own benefit. The 81 streets that you mentioned in the 5-year plan, how did you come to those? Because obviously there's other streets, so how did you come to the?
So what Fred mentioned before, and if you could, Fred, you could put up the spreadsheet. What Fred mentioned before is that there's this point system that we use.
Oh, right.
Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Trench repairs, potholes, the age of the roadway, the number of trench repairs, the reconstruction of drainage and curbing.
Got it.
We take 100 points and we subtract all that. The ones with the lowest point, closest to zero, get moved to the top of the list. And so we did that in 2017. The only difference between now and 2017 is in 2017, I looked at the roads that haven't been resurfaced in the last 10 years. Now, regardless if you resurfaced last year, we gave you a point system no matter what. So if you were resurfaced last year, you're basically 100 points. If you haven't been resurfaced in 50 years, and I tell you, 50 years, those roadways are the best roadways out there sometimes. But if you haven't been resurfaced at all, you have pothole repairs. Utility companies have come there and they have dug up, just isolated, not part of a gas modernization project, not part of a water main replacement, but just isolated. And over the years, there's so many trench repairs, you then move up to that top of the list. These 81 roadways are top of the list. So what we do is we then coordinate with the utility companies and we say, are you doing any of these roadways? Because if you are, we'll pause on them and we'll move on to the next.
Okay. So even if a street was paved within the past 5 years, if it now has a need and if its points are low, it will be repaved as opposed to a street that maybe hasn't been paved in 20 years, but it doesn't have, it has a higher point system.
That is true, but highly unlikely.
Right, okay.
You know, because if something in 5 years has been completed and paved, the likelihood of having potholes and trench repairs are very slim.
Right.
Maybe one, maybe two, because we have a moratorium in our township that says if you haven't resurfaced, if you're touching a road that has been resurfaced in the last 5 years, you are mandatory responsible for full width. And that's how we get the utility companies sometimes, because they have to do full width reconstruction because they didn't coordinate with us. So oftentimes it's on their dime.
Okay. So these 81 streets are based on all of the streets surveyed with a point system?
All the streets over a 5-month period.
Right.
Every single time Mr. Kish and Mr. Lenning went out, it was the same 2 eyes looking at every single roadway.
Got it. Okay. And I just wanted to confirm some of the dates. So this is the beginning of a new 5-year plan. The last 5-year plan was 2017
Yes.
to 2023.
Yes.
And
23, 24, 25, 26, 27.
right, yeah. So did you say, I might have misheard you, did you say you were basing that off of a plan from 2007?
No, the 2017 roadway ranking system, there was a 2007 pavement evaluation report that was done by Remington and Vernick in 2007.
Okay.
Well, in 2017, I didn't want to completely throw out that document. So what I used is they had a ranking in there, and based on their ranking, I assigned it a point value. If you were ranked between 90 and 100, I said, okay, you're 1 point off. If you're ranked between, like, let's say, 80 to 90, I gave another point. So I didn't completely throw out that document because it was only 10 years old. What I did now is I threw out that document and I said, we don't need to look at that anymore. Now we're just going to start a clean slate and look at every road that has every road in the town, whether it was resurfaced or not. And today is our day one. And from today, we then move forward.
Got it. Okay. So you were using basically a different plan prior to 2017.
Same point system, just one more column that took into account that report.
Got it. Okay.
Now, what Fred did this year is he took maybe 3 more caveats and added 3 more columns to make it a little bit more stronger, to make the evaluation a little bit more stronger.
Got it. Got it. Very good. Thank you. My last question is just, Fred, you were talking about the sidewalks on Cottrell and, 516 by Cottrell Farms. How that sidewalk is going to go from where to where? Is it going to be all the way down to, like, what are the parameters of the sidewalk?
So the pedestrian, I'm so sorry.
Sorry.
The 516 Pedestrian Safety Improvement Project is the missing sidewalk between Higgins and the Old Bridge High School.
That's what I wanted to know.
That's the first project.
Okay.
The second grant application, you might have remembered, it said the word pending. I have good feelings on it.
Okay.
That is sidewalk and bike path along the frontage along 516 and along Cottrell for the Cottrell Farm Park project. It's in our design, and what the state likes to look at is alternative modes of transportation. So we do biking and walking in that aspect, and it's 516 is actually part of the county's biking plan, so we actually put that in hopes to get that grant.
Awesome. So both sides of the roads both sides of 516 are going to have something done.
Yes, so you'll be able to walk from here to the Old Bridge High School with a sidewalk.
Awesome. That's excellent. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Are we good, Mr. De Palma?
Nicole, I have a question on the lighting, right? So obviously I have a exorbitant amount of HOAs in my ward, and there are a number of them. They may have already reached out to you, so I know a couple of them have reached out to me already. If they're township-owned streets, right?
Yes.
Most of the HOAs, at least in my ward, are public streets. If they want to look to do this, right, do they, the HOA needs to get that together, or do they need to contact you and then we have to come out as a township to reevaluate?
I prefer that they contact me only so I could guide them, because I'd like to take a look at what was approved as far as the planning and zoning board applications to make sure we are good. If I see that everything was done right by the developer, because our lighting ordinance has not changed, then I can guide them and say, okay, if you want to put LED lighting, I've talked with JCP&L on the cost so that they can get an idea of the cost. When Jerry Riccardi was part of JCP&L, I don't know if anybody remembers him, he was very well versed on when people wanted to change from the incandescent to the LED lightings. He said, we could do it, you might save on lighting, but just know if they don't like the spillage, it is very costly to revert back to the incandescent. So there's a lot more that goes behind the scenes that I would rather talk to the HOA about. So that's why I'd rather them call me first.
Okay.
Now, we wouldn't take on that design. I mean, Fred, especially on that one example I gave you where they put the onus on JCP&L to do the design that never happened, we're going to run that in-house because as a liability sake, I want to make sure that the town is covered, that development is adequately lit. Those are public streets.
Okay.
But we could certainly, once we have the program in-house, we could take a look on how we could help these HOAs and see what would be the requirement if it's not a heavy lift.
Yeah, because I know one of the things that has been brought up too is as they've had problems with some of the lights going out, some of them have already been replaced to LEDs. So you have an incandescent, then you have an LED, then 5 incandescents, then an LED. And that's why people have brought up, well, why don't they just replace them all?
It's not, when you replace the LED bulb, that's just the bulb. You want an LED fixture to realize that savings. So, and to really realize like the fixture spillage, right? The LED bulb is not what gets you the savings. The LED fixture, the whole unit, the whole acorn, as you would say.
So when they're going out there and replacing it, they're going in and taking, all right, I'm taking the broken bulb and kind of like what we do in our house, we're just putting in a new bulb.
Just under the statute, JCP&L is required to put the light, pole, and everything maintained, and we pay monthly for every pole that is owned by the township on a township roadway. So changing those, you can't take the township roadways and say, we're going to change one area with LED, with those fixtures, which is, at one time when we looked at it, it was like $5,000 a fixture. I mean, we have thousands and thousands of fixtures on our roadway, so it is an impossibility to cover the
Tell me you
cost.
didn't put that in the budget
So,
this year?
yeah, it's not in the budget, I guarantee you. So, you know, I think some of this misunderstanding that is just saying that, you know, it's paid by state or JCP&L. No. We're paying for all the street lights in the budget. We have over $500,000 cost every year, and it's growing. Those costs, electric costs are growing. So, and on top of that, we do reimburse the HOAs for, you know, proportional cost of their lighting.
Okay.
So it's a significant cost. Changing the bulb, we did evaluate that. We had a mercury vapor changing, you know, to the current lighting system. Apparently they did it. We didn't have to pay. We have also done an investment program of buying out those street poles so we don't have monthly payment. And we have fully capitalized those, and JCP&L is required to maintain that. So we have done a number of things to make sure we save, but this particular project, it is changing into all LED as much as I'd like to do. It is very expensive.
So it's a significant difference between an HOA that private street versus an HOA that's a public street. So Lake Ridge West, which are all public streets, it's vastly different than going to another one that's, okay.
HOA that has a small number of poles, if they want to take on their own and they do it, you know, they are entitled to do it because we don't reimburse the capital investment. We're only required to reimburse the actual use of electric to light those.
Okay, so if they needed to replace the pole or the acorn thing on top, the HOA takes 100% responsibility of that payment with no reimbursement. The only thing that we would reimburse that HOA for is $1 versus 65 cents. So you would just get the delta.
Yeah.
Okay.
Something, Mr. Desai?
Yeah, I just said, Nicole, I just checked the list of 81 project. You are listing number 55, Old Waterworks Road. I just want to point out that particular road that's in my ward, and I think every police officer and people who are driving there, that's the worst road in my opinion in the whole township. Various reasons, lots of trucks are going there, Stavola, then medicine industries and the warehouse, lots of trucks are going there. And water, because I recall when Stavola came in, when we approved the Stavola project, we made sure the drainage system will be good. And I think it worked for first few years. But now that water drainage is not adequate. So I think that project should be looked little in depth, why that road all the time has a water.
Well, when we take a look at, when we prepare the plan specs and estimates for Waterworks Road as far as the NJDOT local freight impact grants, we look at every aspect of the roadway and we then address the design flaws accordingly as per NJDOT standards. So we look at everything. One of the reasons why we submitted a local freight impact grant for Waterworks Road is because the mayor said that road is a roller coaster out there. That has to be number one on our freight grant. We couldn't do it with one application, so we did it with two. We held off on doing the design for the first phase so that we could do it concurrently, bid the project as a whole, and realize a cost savings for when we do that application.
See, what I believe, and this is for Mayor and Mr. Shah and everyone to know, that when that application came in the zoning board, I was serving in zoning board. I think we pushed Stavola to bear all cost when surrounding industries or people who own the property there, they never paid anything towards the improvement of the road and water. So maybe Stavola is not maintaining that.
Mr. Desai, I'm gonna probably caveat this. I don't know what application, Stavola has come in with many applications, of which I was probably here for around 3.
Yeah, you were there.
When
that time.
somebody comes in for a planning or zoning board application, they are either required to do off-site improvements or submit their pro rata share as far as drainage and as far as transportation. Right now, they don't submit any pro rata share for drainage because you have to meet the strict guidelines for NJDEP water quality and water quality guidelines. So any application in front of our planning and zoning board that has to go through any review, since the stormwater management regulations were adopted by DEP in 2004, have to meet those strict guidelines, which means you have to implement stormwater management for any increase in impervious cover greater than 0.25 acres, or if your project disturbs greater than 1,000 acres of property. So we go through that in our planning and zoning board. If there was an application that required either off-site improvements or a contribution by an applicant, they are not permitted to go to construction until one of those two things have been satisfied. That's what the engineering department does and regulates as part of that planning and zoning board approval.
Yeah, I think I understand what exactly you said, but what my point, that when applicant is in front of the board and they want to approve that application, they will say, yes, we will do it, and they do it. But what happened after a few years to maintain that particular condition?
And then
And I think that's what my point. Let's planning board include in land use development this particular new clause if we can. I don't know the law. But if we can put this condition, when we put a condition to any application that, hey, okay, you do this thing, but then you have to maintain it for next 10 year or 15 year or something. I don't know if we can put that or not.
I'm looking at our counsel, and he has just said no.
No, that will go to land use law, and that's what I'm asking. Because that is going to cost a big money.
Right. As
when you
Nicole had
clean up that road.
alluded to, you certainly can require an applicant, to the extent that their project impacts infrastructure and off-site, you can require them to make that payment. But as far as maintenance, that would be a wonderful thing.
And we reduce everything.
But New Jersey hasn't gotten that bad yet, but it might. But no, we can't do that under municipal land use law.
All right. Anyone else on my left? No? Anyone on my right?
Thank you.
Okay, we good? You good, Mr. Desai? Okay. All right, everyone else good? All right, so I'll just finish again, reiterating thank you. It's a long process. It's a long-range process, which I really think is important. I think we need to keep with it and keep improving. Everything is, well, we don't want to say that, but keep on improving our projects. And I do thank you for all the hard work as far as obtaining grant money. I think over the last 10 years, we have really gotten our fair share, and we have improved a lot of roads from Morganville Road and Ticetown Road, through the arbors. We have really shown that all of these grants are available, and we've received them, so that's really important too. And Nicole, thank you for this last piece about the lighting, because at my last HOA roundtable, I had several home associations, as I reached out to you, that they were interested in this, and I think they didn't have all the information, and I think it's important that they do before they make a decision, because, they're spending also the money of all the group, so you have to make sure that what you're doing is really what you want, and it's not just okay, we want it to be bright, there was a lot to it. So I really do thank you, because after all the questions, I was like, I think I need to ask Nicole to kind of straighten this out and make people understand, So thank you again, all of you. It was really a very good presentation. Thank you. Yes. So, does this work now? No? Yeah. No, it's fine. Okay. All right. So we're going to deviate from the agenda. Next, we'll be doing public hearing for those ordinances. One of them for second reading is H3, which is release of performance guarantees, Stavola Asphalt Company Incorporated, Block 5001, Lot 13.2-1, Waterworks Road, 34-14ZA. Okay, good evening.
My name's Thomas Branch. I'm Vice President of Stavola, and I'm glad to be here tonight because I very much enjoyed the roadway improvement program. And as Nicole said, we will be open March 15th. You'll be the first in line. I'll make sure of that. Our attorney, Peter Klauser, just came back. I'm going to turn it over to him now, and glad to be here, as I said.
Council President, while we wait for council to join us up here, I'm going to start us off.
Yes.
This was an application for Stavola Old Bridge Materials LLC that was in front of our zoning board for an amended approval to create 2 new vertical mineral silos. And the silos were used to house some various asphalt mixes and to update some equipment on site. The silos were actually located on a concrete pad, which was 15 by 65 feet. In dimension. The property is actually located at the northwest corner of the intersection of Manzo Boulevard and Waterworks Road. And to date, since the application has been constructed, there has been no request for any reduction on this performance guarantee. The applicant had posted a performance bond, cash, all cash, in the amount of $5,382. The 10% portion of it was $598. Our office, the engineering office for Old Bridge, had actually went out and inspected the site improvements and found everything to be acceptable. Obviously, with the new bonding regulations that the state had enacted, there's no maintenance guarantee, as all the work is private and it's on their site. So we have no problem with the release of the performance guarantee, subject to the applicant then paying any outstanding escrow fee. And then I want to bring to the council's attention that the applicant's attorney has just joined us, Mr. Klauser, and I'd ask that he introduce himself.
Hi, good evening. I'm sorry, I was following the agenda, and I guess I have the wrong one, so I stepped out for a second. Oh, so good evening, Peter Klauser with the firm Heilbron Pape on behalf of Stavola. I've had the opportunity to review Ms. Shapiro's report. We're in agreement. We're also in agreement with the conditions in the report to pay all the outstanding fees that are required. The work's been completed, inspected, and approved by your engineering department. So I would ask that the council act favorably on the request for the release of the bond.
All right. Council have any questions? No? Okay, I will now open it up to the public. Is there anyone in the public who wishes to be heard? Seeing no hands, I'll close the public portion. I'll ask for a motion.
Move it.
Okay.
Yes.
De Palma?
Yes.
Councilperson Desai? Councilperson Garcia,
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli,
Yes.
Councilperson Murphy,
Yes.
Councilperson Paskiddy,
Yes.
Councilperson Walker,
Yes.
Council President Sohar.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
So we'll have a resolution on the next meeting memorializing the release.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. Have a nice evening, gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Before you move on. So just a point of concern, H2 on the agenda, the release for DMK Development, Old Bridge LLC. They were unable to make the meeting. I spoke to the township attorney, Mr. Roselli, who said that there is no requirement on his end that they would need to renotice, but council would have to make the decision as to whether or not they can come to the next council meeting. If we set the date for February 28th, they would not be required to renotice.
Okay.
Move it.
Wait, Mr. Roselli.
Yeah, I mean, traditionally, when the applicant doesn't appear, council made a determination whether or not to require an applicant to renotice or not. The first thing would ask if there's anybody in the audience who's here
Right.
in connection with the release of the performance guarantee for DMK Development, which is, I guess there was a Tractor Supply constructed there. Block 22,000, lots 21 and 22, it's 1976 Englishtown Road. Is anyone here for that hearing? There are none. So the question is whether or not, did the applicant advise us in advance that they weren't unable to make it, or did they just not appear?
They did. They called us actually this afternoon to tell us that the attorney left for vacation on Friday.
See, I would never do that to a client.
But they did notice.
Right.
So the attorney should have been aware.
Right, so, all right, so I again, if you want to waive that requirement, that's certainly okay, and then what we'll do is continue the public hearing for the next scheduled council meeting, which is
February 28th.
February 28th.
Do you need
So,
a motion?
that would be a
for that, or-
motion, yes.
Okay, John made a motion, Mr. Murphy made a motion.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Walker.
Roll call. Councilperson DeCaro?
Yes.
Councilperson De Palma?
Yes.
Councilperson Desai? Councilperson Garcia?
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli?
Yes.
Councilperson Murphy?
Yes.
Councilperson Paskiddy?
Yes.
Councilperson Walker?
Yes.
Council President Sohar?
Yes.
9 yeses. You want to do all of Nicole's first?
That's what I'm saying, so
We'll do this one.
So, excuse me. Next will be, again, a little out of order on the agenda. Next will be discussion ordinances, capital ordinance providing funding for various park, I'm sorry. Oh, no, that's right. Ordinance amending Chapter 457 of the Township, the Old Bridge Township Code entitled Shade Tree. Okay. And good evening again, Mrs. Shapiro.
Thank you, Council President. This is something that was brought up by council to try and alleviate some of the burden that's placed on our residents when it comes to tree removal on private property. What happens is when an applicant has a lot size that is 40,000 square feet, they're permitted to remove half of that on their property in a given year. If it's greater, they're permitted to remove 20,000 square feet around the perimeter of the building. So what we had thought about was how can we make it a little bit easier for a resident in a residential home to try and remove trees. And certainly I met with some of our council and we were caucusing about just how we could do that. What I look at as far as removal of trees are how are you changing the hydrological characteristic of a property. It's different, again, when you're coming in front of the Planning and Zoning Board and you have an application in front of me. You remove trees, you have to comply with stormwater management for water quality and water quantity. Quality to take care of your increase in impervious cover of greater than 0.25 acres, and quantity because you're disturbing greater than an acre. What Vina and I do now is I try and have the applicant or the developer in the Planning and Zoning Board stage try to capture or try to increase the allowable volume in their stormwater basin to accommodate if somebody was to remove the trees and make it all grass in their backyards. But let's say some of our older communities, I can't do that. Now, if you have a property that is small in nature and you don't trigger those stormwater management criteria, I can't make you do anything when you remove trees. Now, if you take that small property, less than the threshold required for stormwater management, and you take an entire block and do that, you are now changing the characteristics of that property. So what Vina and I had talked about when we were reviewing the tree ordinances, going forward to make sure a developer who's taking into account stormwater management on their property consider whether the property is going to, in the future, remove the trees and create grass coverage, because there's a different coefficient when you're looking at the formula for flow. Certainly we could do that going forward, but then I said, okay, if your threshold for doing some severe stormwater management is 1 acre, what if we took the properties that are existing, that are residential, that are 1 acre or less, and we said, okay, you could remove the trees on your property, but you still have to submit a tree removal permit application to us so that we could take a look at your property and see, one, are there any conservation easements that require or stipulate to you that you cannot do or remove anything in that area? Is there then an environmental constraints like a stream in your backyard that might have a riparian zone buffer, wetlands that would have a transition area buffer area that you can't do anything that's regulated? Now, we could certainly take a quick look at our NJDEP GeoWeb and see if those environmental constraints are around the area, and we can make that judgment call and say, okay, you're permitted. So that would alleviate a lot of the tree removal permit application or the tree burden on properties that are 1 acre or less. Now, again, there would be a different criteria if you're a commercial development, and there would be different criteria if you're a residential development that's greater than 1 acre. Those are the changes that we had proposed in this ordinance in front of you, and you'll notice it's on the second page of the Word document or the document that's in Novus. On the first page, you notice that I added just one line to the definition for the tree escrow fund, and then I added under fees just a little bit more of a caveat on what we're doing with the fees that we collect. One, we use it to plant in other areas trees. So for example, some of the burden that our residents might have is there's a tree replanting requirement. Well, we can replant out of the tree trust fund if they choose or toggle that button on their tree application. They get one tree, a street tree in the front of their home. Some people opt to do that, and that takes a little bit of the burden away. But then we have a tree trust fund that we could utilize for maintaining our existing street trees out there, but we need equipment to do so. And some of our equipment is old or obsolete or not available to us anymore. Our DPW director had asked that I put this sentence in here so that it allows us to buy the equipment necessary to maintain our trees out there, for pruning and for reaching the high, for example, a bucket truck to reach the high limbs, and then this way we could start pruning. So that's why we had added that one line. Second page then talks about how we're trying to alleviate some of the burden on our residential homes. So that's what I'm asking for tonight. So tonight I'm asking to bring this up to first reading and to vote in the affirmative for it. Councilman Murphy. It's $35. $35. Yep.
You feel you have enough information to work with this?
Yes.
I mean, do you want to go back and reconsider and bring it to us for a vote?
Council President, if I may, I think that we have gone through several rounds of discussions and evaluations and what we have brought forward, and many council members have expressed frustrations with our current ordinance and the process, and I think this will alleviate some of those concerns. Now, if we need more after this, and we'll see how it goes after things, if we need more, we can certainly come back to you and for additional amendment. But I'd like to get this process moving, it's adopted, and we'll see where we end up with this process, if we can correct the current condition that, residents have.
Anyone else?
One quick question. Does this ordinance, what about if a resident plants a tree in their yard and then wants to remove that tree, the same tree? Is there still the same requirements for that, even though, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, if somebody, the trees, on a property, whether you plant them or whether they're there when you start and you live there, it adds the same value or the same ecological value to our environment, right? So whether you plant it or whether it's there to begin with has no bearing on the application to remove it.
Okay, I have to think about that. Okay.
I think it should have bearing. It's your property, and if you planted a tree on your own property and then later on decide, I don't want that tree, I shouldn't have to pay you a permit to take down the tree that I put up. It's my property. And see, it's a different philosophy, right?
Well, I think, Councilman, I think what that will do is saying, okay, we don't need a tree ordinance or tree removal ordinance at all. Because if the tree was there before, it's still on your property and it's the same rights. I think what we're trying to do is, what we have done is to regulate removal of tree that has an environmental impact in the town. And that's was the purpose of the ordinance. But I think that ordinance became overbearing, and some of the requirement and inspection that created a lot of contention. So what we're trying to do is alleviate those. It isn't about tree you planted or it wasn't there issue, because, if it's on your property, whether it was there or whether you planted, it has same meaning, it's same impact, it's same thing. It's not like you are removing something from others' property. But that's not the purpose of this tree removal or shade tree ordinances.
Anyone else? I also think a lot of it was in response to developers. When we were having development where the trees were not taken into consideration until after everything else was said and done. And we wanted to make sure that they would preserve as much as possible, have a buffer, have the trees play a really integral role. And I think this is how we started out with the ordinance. It was more to protect and make sure that, you didn't pass by and see, okay, complete obliteration of every tree, and then you start the project. We wanted someone to weigh in first and find the best way possible to keep as much of that as we could. So I think, Tony, that was part of too why.
That's very true.
Why we started this
Clear-cutting
whole
of the
process,
problem.
Yeah, it had gotten way out of control, and we wanted to bring it back and have it, be part of the plan when they went before the boards. Does anybody else have a question?
Just to follow up on that, if Mr. Biscotti, if you look at the original provision exemption area, included 1 and 2, it didn't take into account. It only took into account lot area. It didn't look at who planted the trees, right? Because it applied to either new or existing residential. So the idea was that if there was a certain amount of area, you exempt it. It was exempted, so it wouldn't apply. So going back from the time the original tree removal ordinance was adopted, the focus wasn't on the source of the trees. The focus was on, when you create an exemption, the area that's exempted. So it never made that distinction from initially.
I understand that, and I think that the ordinance, the way it's written now, is definitely better than what it was. It does give us a place to start.
We'll continue to evaluate and come back to you for more changes if needed.
Yeah, it just took 6 years to get here, though.
I just want to make a comment and clarification for the benefit of the public, because on this side, we all know what this project is. Just for public, this project, Lawrence Harbor Community Building, is going to cost 6 million according to.
Mr. Desai, we're discussing the tree ordinance and some of the updating that we want to do on the tree ordinance. If you see, it's which number? I got to put my glasses on.
It's under discussion ordinances.
Okay, yeah, it's discussion ordinance number 2.
Okay, I'm mixed.
Okay, yeah, this is where we're for this one for now. Okay?
Oh, okay.
All right.
I thought we were discussing that.
Okay.
I
Nels?
withdraw my comment.
And I'll ask for a motion to bring it to first reading.
Move it.
Second.
Okay. So it was moved by DePalma and second by Mrs. DeCaro.
Roll call. Councilperson DeCaro.
Yes.
Councilperson DePalma.
Yes.
Councilperson Desai.
Yes.
Councilperson Garcia.
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli.
Yes.
Councilperson Murphy.
No.
Councilperson Paskiddy.
Yes.
Councilperson Walker.
Yes.
Council President Sohar.
Yes.
8 yeses, 1 no.
Okay, and thank you, Mrs. Shapiro, for all the hard work. This was, again, a lot of work going through all of this.
Public hearing set for February 28th, 2023.
All right, thank you. Okay, next will be the bill list. Mrs. Walker.
Accounts payable, February 14, 2023, $2,546,180.50. Payroll, January 20th, 2023, $1,403,592.34. Payroll overtime, January 20th, 2023, $21,806.46. Payroll, February 3rd, 2023, $1,153,969.65. Payroll overtime, February 3rd, 2023, $21,987.33. That concludes.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Okay, moved by Dr. Greenberg Belli, second by Mrs. Walker. Mr. Shaw, may we have a breakdown of overtime, please?
Yes, Council President. The overtime for the pay period, hold on, just make sure. For January 2020, there was really no uptick in any other department. For the sworn officers, total overtime was $13,194.35. Deduct grant, $1,751.98. The net overtime was $11,442.37, representing 152 men and women hours. There were 3 officers injured on duty or on light duty. For the overtime for February 3rd, there was an uptick in human resource for the calculation of the retro for various unions. And for the sworn officers, the total overtime was $11,968.88. Deduct grant, $2,566.10. Deduct accreditation cost, $2,877.25. The net overtime was $6,525.53, representing 142.5 men and women hours. There were 3 officers injured on duty or they were on light duty. That concludes my report.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Shaw. And now we'll go to roll call, please.
Councilperson DeCaro.
Yes.
Councilperson DePalma.
Yes.
Councilperson Desai.
Yes.
Councilperson Garcia.
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli.
Yes.
Councilperson Murphy.
Abstain.
Councilperson Paskiddy.
Yes.
Councilperson Walker.
Yes.
Council President Sohar.
Yes.
8 yeses, 1 abstention.
Okay, approval of minutes of previous meeting. Resolution approving the regular council combined minutes of December 13th, 2022, December 27th, 2022, and executive session minutes of December 13th, 2022. Do I have a motion?
Move it.
Second.
Okay, moved by Mrs. Walker, second by Mr. De Palma.
Roll call. Councilperson DeCaro.
Yes.
Councilperson De Palma.
Yes.
Councilperson Desai. Councilperson Garcia.
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli.
Yes.
Councilperson Murphy.
Yes.
Councilperson Pasquitti.
Abstain.
Councilperson Walker.
Yes.
Council President Sohar.
Yes.
8 yeses, 1 abstention.
Okay, moving on, we have budget introduction. Okay, resolution for calendar year 2023, budget introduction in the total amount of $66,985,008.
Yep.
When I started coming to council meetings, I think it was 20 years.
All right. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, council. I'll start it off. As you know, early last year, we started the budget process for the 2023. And I sat before you and I identified what we were going to focus on, goals that we had set, what we wanted to accomplish in our 2023 budget. So I'm just going to give an overview, what we've been able to accomplish. We set our goals. I think we've met and exceeded our goals in some places. First, that we were going to invest in public safety. Nothing is more important than safety in a town that we live in. And this year, we've invested in our existing officers. We are expanding the size of the department. We've also funded some programs that we feel are needed in our neighborhoods. We had residents complain about speeding and poor driving habits within our neighborhoods. We have a line item to address that now with a targeted enforcement advantage. One of the goals I had set that we would develop an open space trust fund without an open space tax. We've been able to accommodate that goal also. We have an open space trust fund. A line has been with a generous amount of money to start. So I challenged the Open Space Committee to start identifying lands that want to be purchased. We've also had to keep up with inflation in this budget. As you, our consumers, pay more, we too, as a township, are paying more. We've had to meet all that, and we've done that. All our departments have grown, are growing to meet the needs of our community, to provide better services. We've met those goals. And I'm here to tell you tonight that we've been able to do all that, and at the same time, we are going to have a municipal tax decrease in the Township of Oak Ridge. So I have many people to thank for that. Mr. Shah, Dawn, all our professionals, and Mr. Shah will thank them all later. So again, council, residents, we've been able to accomplish everything we set out we were going to do with your support, and we've met those goals. And you have your books now. You will go through them. We have our subcommittees that you can attend. I encourage all council people to attend those, and we'll get down into the pennies, the nickels, the dimes, and the quarters, and the dollars. You will see what we've been able to do as a result of a lot of hard work by this administration and the council. So I will hand it over to Mr. Shah if he wants to get into a little bit more details. Dawn has the numbers, and thank you, council. I'm very pleased to sit here tonight, very proud. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Council President and Council members. Tonight, we are requesting the council to introduce 2023 municipal budget as it's, as our tradition has been, that we try to do all our budget work in time by the end of first quarter. It has tremendously benefited the town when we are out there acquiring project construction cost, bidding, and we are ahead of almost every town by completing this process early on. The total general appropriation for 2023, excluding municipal library purposes, $63,620,726 compared to $61,514,638 in a 2022 budget as modified. The proposed tax rate for municipal purpose for 2023 is estimated to be $1, which reflects a 0.01 cents decrease over 2022, which was 1.01. For an average home in Old Bridge assessed at $155,606, there is a proposed municipal tax decrease of $16 from $1,572 in 2022 to $1,556. $1,572 in 2022 to $1,556 in 2023. The Township Council has a tentatively scheduled council budget subcommittee meetings for February 21st, March 1st, and March 8th to review the proposed budget in more detail. And as Mayor indicated, and as many of you have seen, we go line by line, every single line in a budget workshop for all the departments, and we'll be able to answer any question during that. We also will have a formal presentation and a public hearing on a municipal budget, which is scheduled for March 28, 2023 council meeting. That we will make a formal presentations as we always do, summarizing the budget, meeting the goals, new goals, and we'll present that. And certainly, as Mayor indicated, I do want to thank all of my department heads for their hard work, their support. I can tell you when we were preparing 2022 budget, I was extremely concerned for 2023 year because there were so many anomalies, so many unknowns. For our fortunate, many of them came through. We were able to anticipate those revenue, and we were able to offer the decrease in tax. And I think when we do this, as every year I tell the council members, and for the last many, many years, that we want to make sure that we don't have a budget shortfall in the futures. We avoid simple, one-timers. At the same time, I want to make sure that we do not tax residents when we don't need to. I believe the future is bright, and this will allow us to have this budget the way we have constructed, meeting all the needs. As Mayor indicated, we have open space trust money anticipated in the budget. We're starting to recognize that we need to grow staffing in departments, so we have included staffing in police, dispatch, public works. So you'll see that there is going to be complete detailed information during presentations. And I think if you go through the budget memo that I have included, which covers many of this information in the memo, as well as you have an entire budget book, full detail line-by-line budget for every department included in a budget book. So again, I'm requesting the council to introduce the budget tonight so the process starts. As of now, it's a mayor's budget. Now it's going to become a council budget with the introductions, and then we can start all the process and hopefully complete that by March 28th. And meanwhile, new council member, feel free to call my office from now until 28th public hearing, and even throughout the year. If there's any question on the budget, we're there for all the council members to answer any questions. So I conclude my report and request that you consider introduction of budget. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Shaw. We appreciate it. Okay. So now we need to start.
Need a motion for introduction.
Second.
So we moved it by Dr. Greenberg Belli. It was seconded by Mr. De Palma.
Roll call. Councilperson DeCaro?
Yes.
Councilperson De Palma?
Yes.
Councilperson Desai? Councilperson Garcia?
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli?
Yes.
Councilperson Murphy?
I don't like to vote on a budget that I haven't read yet, but being, what are you voting?
This is an introduction. This is not an adoption. You are just,
Okay,
This is
I
like-
don't like to even vote on the introduction without reading the budget. We just got it tonight, but Mayor, based on the job you did last year, I will vote yes.
Councilperson Paskiddy?
Yes.
Councilperson Walker?
Yes.
Council President Sohar?
Yes.
9 yeses, and public hearing set for March 28th, 2023.
so Council President, continue as a part of the budget. There are several resolutions.
Yes.
And the processing, bookkeeping processing, so we'd like you to take, in consideration of taking an action on all of those resolutions.
Yep.
And then we can talk about capital.
All right. So next will be a resolution for calendar year 2023 budget to be read by title only at public hearing. Do I have a
Madam
motion?
President, before you take roll call, I slightly revised
Oh, okay.
the form of the resolution so that it mimics the statute, including a provision that in addition to advertising it and being posted, you have to make it available for public inspection, and copies to be made available by the clerk to persons requesting them. There's no longer a requirement to get posted at the library.
I was
So-
going to say, what happened to the library?
I think a lot of libraries didn't know what to do with it. So anyway, but we also, it's on our website too. So I just amended that
Yeah.
resolution.
No, thank you very much. Okay. So do we have a motion?
Move it.
Okay. Moved by Mrs. Walker, second by Mr. De Palma.
Roll call. Councilperson DeCaro?
Yes.
Councilperson De Palma?
Yes.
Councilperson Desai? Councilperson Garcia?
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli?
Yes.
Councilperson Murphy?
Yes.
Councilperson Paskiddy?
Yes.
Councilperson Walker?
Yes.
Council President Sohar?
Yes.
9 yeses.
Okay. The next one, Mr. Roselli, it's okay as is?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Resolution approving the governing body certification of compliance with the United States Equal Employment Opportunity Commission's enforcement guidance on the consideration of arrest and conviction records in employment decisions under Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Do I have a motion?
Move it.
Moved by Mrs. Walker, second by Mr. De Palma.
Roll call. Councilperson DeCaro?
Yes.
Councilperson De Palma?
Yes.
Councilperson Desai? Councilperson Garcia?
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli?
Yes.
Councilperson Murphy?
Yes.
Councilperson Paskiddy?
Yes.
Councilperson Walker?
Yes.
Council President Sohar?
Yes.
9 yeses.
Okay.
Council President, while
Yeah.
Mark has a question, continuing the process, we are requesting council to adopt the cap index ordinance, a cap bank ordinance. And let me just give you a brief overview. The proposed cap bank ordinance is scheduled for introduction at tonight's council meeting. The ordinance authorized the township to bank the difference between the final budget appropriation subject to cap and the cost of living adjustment when the difference is not appropriate as a part of the final budget. The purpose of this ordinance to allow township to carry cap balance for up to 2 years in accordance with the state statute, providing some level of flexibility for the township should local or state economic conditions change. And I will go in more detail about the cap index ordinance as well as the tax rate index ordinance during the public hearing.
Okay, thank you. So we want to establish the ordinance establishing the municipal budget appropriation limits and cap bank, NJSA 40A:4-4514 for the calendar year 2023.
Move it.
Second.
Okay, moved by Mrs. Walker and second by Mr. Pasquitti.
Roll call. Councilperson DeCaro?
Yes.
Councilperson De Palma?
Yes.
Councilperson Desai? Councilperson Garcia?
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli?
Yes.
Councilperson Murphy?
Yes.
Councilperson Pasquitti?
Yes.
Councilperson Walker?
Yes.
Council President Stohar?
Yes.
9 yeses, public hearing set for February 28th, 2023.
Council President, before I go into the bond ordinance discussion, I just want to make sure that everybody's aware of that. The workshops are open to public. While they're workshop, they're not a meeting and no action is taken, so, and there is no participation from the public, but they are open to public to attend, and it will be in the room 201.
201, okay.
Now we can, now there are a series of bond ordinances. So, proposed 2023 capital bond ordinance for various general and parking improvement in the amount of $6,145,000 and $50,000 respectively are also scheduled for introduction tonight at council meeting. A formal presentation and public hearing on 2023 capital budget scheduled for March 28, 2023 council meeting. As our tradition, we do operating budget and capital presentation same night. An ordinance for parks improvement fully funded by the American Rescue Plan Act in the amount of $2,472,000, which includes improvement at Menino Park, Cottrell Pond Park, and Gike Park. There's also an ordinance for construction of Lawrence Harbor Community Building in the amount of $6 million, which is includes funding in the amount of $3,750,000 from grants and other funding sources. So there are a series of bond ordinance. You will introduce one at a time, the general improvement, parking improvement, and then the $6 million for the Lawrence Harbor Community Building. And then there is a discussion ordinance later about the capital ordinance that I mentioned for the parks improvement. We want that to be separately introduced tonight and a public hearing on 28 because there are pending project that we need to undertake.
Okay.
Yeah, February 20.
All right. Are you good? Okay.
This one down here. No, the cap board.
Yes. All these. Okay.
February 28th for all.
Yeah. This is March.
I'm sorry. The cap index I thought was going to be done at the same time as the budget, right? Or 28, okay. Yes.
28th, right? for
February
that?
28th, thank you. Thank you for reminding me.
February 28th, not March. Okay. It just was, they're all 28s. All right. Okay, so next is bond ordinance providing an appropriation of $6,145,000 for various improvements in and by the Township of Old Bridge in the County of Middlesex, New Jersey, and authorizing the issuance of $5,091,200 bonds or notes for the township for financing part of the appropriation. Public hearing will be held March 28th, 2023.
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Walker, second by Mr. De Palma.
Roll call. Councilperson DeCaro?
Yes.
Councilperson De Palma?
Yes.
Councilperson Desai? Councilperson Garcia?
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli?
Yes.
Councilperson Murphy?
Yes.
Councilperson Pasquitti?
Yes.
Councilperson Walker?
Yes.
Council President Stohar?
Yes.
9 yeses. Public hearing set for March 28th, 2023.
Okay. Next will be capital ordinance providing funding for various improvements for the parking utility for the Township of Old Bridge and appropriating $50,000 for such purpose. Public hearing, March 28th, 2023.
Move it.
Second.
Okay. Moved by Mrs. Walker, second by Mr. De Palma.
Roll call. Councilperson DeCaro?
Yes.
Councilperson De Palma?
Yes.
Councilperson Desai?
Yes.
Councilperson Garcia.
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli.
Yes.
Councilperson Murphy.
Yes.
Councilperson Paskiddy.
Yes.
Councilperson Walker.
Yes.
Council President Sohar.
Yes.
9 yeses. Public hearing set for March 28th, 2023.
Bond ordinance providing an appropriation of $6 million for the construction of the Lawrence Harbor Community Building in and by the Township of Old Bridge in the County of Middlesex, New Jersey, and authorizing the issuance of $2,250,000 bonds or notes for the township for financing part of the appropriation. Public hearing, March 28th, 2023.
I'll move it.
Okay.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Garcia, second by Mr. Desai.
Roll call. Councilperson DeCaro.
Yes.
Councilperson De Palma.
Yes.
Councilperson Desai. Councilperson Garcia.
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli.
Yes.
Councilperson Murphy.
Yes.
Councilperson Paskiddy.
Yes.
Councilperson Walker.
Yes.
Council President Sohar.
Yes.
9 yeses. Public hearing set for March 28th, 2023.
Thank you very much for all the information and for a very job well done. Thank you so much. Yeah. Okay. We're doing H1, ordinance amending section 527-5 of chapter 527, wreckers and towing, the general code of the Township of Old Bridge. Do I have a motion? Anyone have any questions?
No. I move it.
Second.
Okay, moved by Dr. Greenberg, second by Mr. Pescetti. Is there anyone in the public who wishes to be heard on this ordinance for second reading? Seeing no hands, we'll close the public and we'll go to vote.
Roll call. Councilperson DeCaro.
Yes.
Councilperson De Palma.
Yes.
Councilperson Desai. Councilperson Garcia.
Off days.
Off days. Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli.
Yes.
Councilperson Murphy.
Yes.
Councilperson Paskiddy.
Yes.
Councilperson Walker.
Yes.
Council President Sohar.
Yes.
8 yeses.
Ordinances for first reading, FR1, ordinance of the Township of Old Bridge, repealing and replacing Chapter 5, Article 36 of the Code of the Township of Old Bridge entitled Golf Course Utility.
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Greenberg Belli, second by Mr. Pescetti.
Roll call. Councilperson DeCaro.
Yes.
Councilperson De Palma.
Yes.
Councilperson Desai. Councilperson Garcia. Off dais. Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli.
Yes.
Councilperson Murphy.
Yes.
Councilperson Paskiddy.
Yes.
Councilperson Walker.
Yes.
Council President Sohar.
Yes.
8 yeses. Public hearing set for February 28th, 2023.
This is next. Okay, discussion, ordinances, capital ordinance providing funding for various park improvements for the Township of Old Bridge and appropriating $2,472,000 for such purpose. Public hearing, February 28th, 2023. Yeah. Mr. Shah?
Yes, Council President, as I indicated earlier, this is the capital ordinance. There is no financing required. This ordinance will allow us to continue project at Cottrell Farm Park, Geik Park, and Menino Park. Currently, there is pending bid already received for Menino Park. The fields at the Menino Park that will finish the whole entire circle. And so we are requesting council to move it up for tonight's introductions so we can adopt next meeting and we can award the contracts.
Move it.
Second.
Okay, moved by Dr. Greenberg Belli, second by Mr. Pescetti.
Roll call. Councilperson DeCaro.
Yes.
Councilperson De Palma.
Yes.
Councilperson Desai. Councilperson Garcia, would you like to vote?
I'll abstain, I'm not sure what we're talking about.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli.
Yes.
Councilperson Murphy.
Yes.
Councilperson Paskiddy.
Yes.
Councilperson Walker.
Yes.
Council President Sohar.
Yes.
8 yeses, 1 abstention.
Discussion.
Sorry, public hearing set for February 28th, 2023.
Okay. All right, next discussion, amending Old Bridge Township Code, Chapter 250-34, entitled Zones and Zone Map, and Chapter 250-35, entitled Zoning Map. Good evening. Are these all going to be discussed at the same time? Yes. Okay. You're going to be discussing all three of these items? Okay, so let me just, the other one is adopting the Waterworks Road 2 plan for 2 parcels, Block 6303, lots 9 and 10, located within the Runyon study area. Next is adopting the Old Matawan Road plan for 3 parcels, Block 8002, lots 9, 12, and 13, located within the Old Matawan Road study area. Good evening.
Good evening, Council.
Good evening again, Council. Yes, if we had said we were going to come back before this council a number of times regards to zoning within the township. Tonight, Vina has a presentation where she has updated the zoning map to reflect all the changes in town that have happened over the last couple of years. And it's important that our zoning map is accurate. And I think it's important for the council to know how the zoning map has changed over the course of a few years with the redevelopment primarily in town. And so, Vina, if you would show the council the map and what has changed and what you want to try to accomplish tonight.
Sure.
Thank you.
Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. So what you see on the screen is our the last updated zoning map, 2019. And basically, I get numerous calls from residents, from developers, asking which zone am I in. The last one was a classic, actually. Application was filed with the zoning board. And when I started reviewing, I was like, wait a minute, you guys are in the redevelopment area. It's within a designated redevelopment area. Neither the developer nor the applicant's attorney knew that they were in the area. And one of the primary reasons is that when this map was done, not everything was done in GIS. Some of it was in Photoshop, it wasn't mapped accurately. So I actually went through the resolutions. I worked with Mark, I got all the resolutions. I went block and lot to make sure we map it in GIS and it's accurate. The other challenge I always have is people in the town center district, they call the office, they call the zoning office, which sub-district am I in? And they don't know because the map right now shows a gray block, TCD, but there are multiple sub-districts in it. Nobody knows where they are. There is a paper copy map. So it was adopted as part of the ordinance, but it was never digitized or it was never put in GIS. So I took this opportunity. In the last 3 years, we have adopted multiple redevelopment plans and we created zones through redevelopment planning. There are areas that are designated as redevelopment. The council designated these to be area in need of studies, but there was no plan written. So I went ahead and made it more user-friendly. So now all the areas that were designated but don't have a plan are on the zoning map. The ones that have the zoning, the ones that have the redevelopment plan and the subsequent new zones created are also mapped on the map. So here's the new. I took the liberty of changing the look of it to make it cleaner. I have to admit we have way too many zones, and I've talked with Mark about it. We almost have like 43 zones, which is a lot. And this is just the first step because I want to update the zoning map till date and then start cleaning it up. But the cleaning up process is going to be much more rigorous because all the GDPs that were adopted, some of them were adopted based on the SFD 7 zone, but the SFD zone really coincides with the R7. So I would have to physically go and rezone those. It's going to be a Herculean task because noticing and everything will come into play, but at least I wanted to bring it to the simplest form and then start cleaning it up and reduce the number of zones that we have. But you will see in the corner here is the town center district. All the sub-districts that were created are now on the zoning map. So when we get a call, the zoning office or anybody gets a call, we can easily locate where the property is. The zoning map will be on the township's website. It is completely coded in GIS now, so anybody who wants to revise it or there are changes could do so easily in GIS. So that's where we are with the zoning map. I don't think an action is required, but at the next meeting, the only change would be section 250-37, which lists all the zones. We would have to add the new zones in it.
Right. So as council adopted the redevelopment plans, there's a provision including that ordinance that also requires the zoning map to be amended to reflect that. So that's why a formal action doesn't have to be taken, because all those actions were already taken. And then, as Vina had alluded to, this is sort of step one of the process. Step two now is to amend another section of the code which lists all the zones, and we have to add the new zones that were created in that section of the code. And then ultimately, there's going to be the creation of new zones that, as Vina said, will be it'll be a lot of work because there's a lot of notice requirements. When you change the classification of a particular zone and it's not part of a master plan re-exam, and this one wouldn't be, it requires notice to go to everyone within the zone and then within 200 feet of the zone itself. But the way that GDPs were handled in the past created this problem. And these GDPs go back 30 years. So they were created 30 years ago, and then 30 years from now, when I'm dead, people will be talking about me, saying, "What the heck was Mr. Roselli doing?" But I'll be dead, so I don't care. But anyway, so we're clean up, right? I won't be lasting 30 years, I can assure you that. So anyway, this is a first step, but there's a lot of work to do, and I just want to note the work that Vina's doing. It is unbelievably difficult, and there's a lot of minutia to go through, and it's but there's a right way of doing it, and she's doing it. So I just want to let council know that, because it's not an easy task what she's undertaking.
Yes.
Are any of the places they were talking about near Lake DeHernal? Near Lake DeHernal, are any of them near that?
Yes.
Okay. And Sayreville's water supply.
So I believe that was part of the Runyon redevelopment.
Yeah, that's what it is, yeah.
Right. And there is no plan in place. It's just a designated area. The council already took action. All I'm doing is mapping it on, showing it on the zoning map, and it was always a part of the zoning map. So
But I don't want it near Lake DeHernal at all. In fact, it shouldn't even be there because Sayreville owns it, and we also own part of it.
I understand, but that was something that was voted upon by the council in 2016.
Well,
The wrong part of town. There was no redevelopment area near the DeHernal Waterworks. We're on
so
Runyon
there's
Road,
nothing
it's
near
the
DeHernal.
No, this is Runyon, which is...
Yeah, that's it. By Runyon Road there?
Yeah, no, there is no redevelopment area near Runyon.
There's no what?
Redevelopment area.
There's none.
So you're not going to build near there? Okay. Thank you.
All right, everybody's good? All right.
So the next one, I want to keep the zoning map on so that you know which area I'm in. This area which is Old Waterworks Road, where our ST zone is. In 2016, the council adopted the Runyon redevelopment designation. However, there was no plan written. And 2 months ago, I was in front of the council with the Manzo Boulevard redevelopment plan. That was for a warehousing property that already went through the zoning board approval process, had a plan approved, but was interested in a pilot, and we created a plan. Now there is another developer, and actually this is a Superfund site, CPS, Madison Industry. They have been going through remediation and through EPA for the longest time. EPA has given them a green light to start the remedial action work, but not the entire property is contaminated. There is a significant half which is not contaminated, and then there's a property that is landlocked behind it. The developer came in and made a presentation at the redevelopment agency. One of their requirements by EPA is that the site be developed only for industrial or commercial use. So they are proposing warehousing. This project is critical to us only because, if you recall, when I came in and made the presentation for the SEGME redevelopment plan, or the redevelopment plan for intersection of US Highway 9 and Jake Brown Road, I had talked extensively about connecting Jake Brown Road East to Browns Road. And there were 3 properties that we had to get right-of-way dedication to make that happen. This is one of the 3 properties. So the Nike site was one of them, then was Perth Amboy, and the third one was Old Bridge Chemicals. I have been working with them very closely, and the reason, as of now, they could go and file an application with the planning board because the use is permitted, the density or the FAR is what they're proposing is permitted. They could have gone to the planning board. However, because it is so close to residences, there's Havnanian homes that are being built to the rear side, we wanted to take this opportunity and clean up and make it more stringent in terms of design standards, because our ST3 zone is industrial, so the design standards are not that tight. But when you are abutting a residential community, you want to see heavy landscape buffer. So I have been working with the developers so that there's a landscape berm, there are evergreen trees, bushes, and it's completely screened. I literally had them give us a site section to see that there is proper screening. I'm going through the landscaping that is being proposed. So I think it's important for us to have that authority to write a plan or to write the vision we want for that area. And obviously, because they are within a designated area, they can apply for a pilot, which they are very much interested in. And that's why a plan is important. They cannot proceed without me writing a plan. So at the next month's first meeting, I will be in front of the council with a redevelopment plan. And I just wanted to give the council a heads up of what's coming up. The next one is this tiny area here on Old Matavan Road, which is close to the ramp to 18, Old Matavan Road study area. Almost 3 years ago, the council designated this area with 26 properties as an area in need of redevelopment. And just like the Manzo Boulevard one, there was an application with the zoning board for an assisted living facility. And that is for the former school site, which is located at 105 Old Matavan Road. Now, the developer, obviously knowing that he is within a designated area, wants to work with the township. He went and acquired a few more neighboring properties. And he wants to he's planning to put in uses that can support the assisted living facility. So suppose if there are parents who are in the assisted living facility, he wants to propose extended stay type of a use. I have still not gone through the uses and flushed them out, but in order to proceed with a pilot, he needs a redevelopment plan to be in place, and that will be the next plan. The school side with the assisted living is already approved, so the plan will allow for assisted living. And those, I think that it was 32 assisted living facility units and then 16 apartment units, but of which they were age restricted, and some of them had Medicaid beds. So the plan will be consistent with what was approved by the zoning board. But that's the next plan, and I plan to come in with both these plans at the March meeting, the first meeting.
Let me just add to the old Madawan Road, and Councilman Murphy, you recall there was a lot of complaints by the neighbors about the condition of the building there, and a series of building, and the developers came forward. He demolished the one that was really infested with a lot of issues, and so we're talking about the same developers. Council had agreed to create a redevelopment zone, and he then took efforts to acquire the property and demolish that. And then subsequently, he had added a couple more properties which are in this almost same condition. So I think it's a reason that we are looking to expand. And I think creating the 26 property redevelopment from 516 all the way to the 615 border is important, essential. There's a commercial there. There's some residential there, but it's mostly commercial, and we want to expand those commercial areas. So that's one of the reasons for the old Madawan Road.
I just want to add one thing because I feel that area is important. It's like a gateway entrance to the township, and I think some redevelopment activity will really make that area look nicer. There are some businesses that are failing. The developer is working to acquire those properties. So we're hoping that at some point we'll come in and have an extension to the redevelopment plan. But for now, it will be the 3 properties that he has already acquired.
Thank you very much. Does any council member have a question for Veena? Okay. Well, thank you very much. We really appreciate it. Yeah, that was a tremendous amount of work. Thank you very much. No, it's a discussion. Consent agenda. I'll ask for a motion and a second, and then we'll do separations.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Greenberg Belli, second by Mr. De Palma.
Items for separation, Councilperson DeCaro.
None, thank you.
Councilperson De Palma.
None, thank you.
Councilperson Desai. Councilperson Garcia.
None, thank you.
Dr. Greenberg Belli.
No, thank you.
Councilperson Murphy.
No, thank you.
Councilperson Paschidi.
No separations, thank you.
Councilperson Walker.
No, thank you.
Council President Sohar.
No, thank you. Okay, so we'll take a roll call on the entire consent agenda.
Roll call. Councilperson DeCaro.
Yes.
Councilperson De Palma.
Yes.
Councilperson Desai.
Yes.
Councilperson Garcia.
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli. Yes. Councilperson Murphy.
Yes.
Councilperson Paschidi.
Yes.
Councilperson Walker.
Yes.
Council President Sohar.
Yes.
That's 9 yeses.
Report of the township clerk.
So the only items that I have is the fact that we are now doing our annual pet licensing renewals, and any OPA requests can now be submitted through our new public-facing platform through SDL and on the township's website. So we now have it set up where you can license your pet plus pay through the new portal. One-stop shopping. Nobody has to come in. Nobody has to do anything, providing all your documents are uploaded correctly into the system. Same thing with OPA requests. We now have the online portal to submit OPA requests, and it seems to be working wonderful. And if you visit our newly revamped township website, thanks to Amy Alonzo over in the administration office, she's worked very, very hard on updating our website. And all the links are located there, and if anybody needs any help finding any of the links, they can just reach out to my office and we'll direct you to the correct location.
Okay, thank you very much. Do I have a motion to accept her report?
Move it.
Second.
Do you you want a separate roll
Yeah.
call or do them all together?
You can just do them all together. Everyone, aye?
Aye.
Okay. Township Attorney report?
No report, I'll save it for Manchu.
Is that a long one?
I will speak on your behalf.
Administrative report, Mr. Shah.
Thank you. Council President, administrative report for February 14, 2023. I already have covered some of the items, so I'm going to skip over those. Item number 1, public service electric and gas infrastructure upgrades. Public service electric and gas has begun gas infrastructure improvement in several areas which affects the following roadways. Central Avenue, from Brookside Avenue to the end. Cobb Road between Throckmorton Lane and County Road 516, Cindy Street between Calvin Court and Thomas Street, Alpha Avenue between Harold Street and Cobb Road, Jacob Street between Alpha and Holly Street, and Harold Street between Alpha and Stevens Avenue. The crews are working to transfer over the existing gas service to the new main and retire the old main. Construction will take approximately 6 months to complete. Weather permitting, road closure may occur. Please follow construction detours. Access will be provided to local residents, emergency vehicles, school buses, mail carriers, deliveries, and trash haulers. Anticipated final restoration will occur in summer of 2023. Item number 2, public hearing notice CDBG 2023 program year. The Township of Old Bridge will hold public hearing to discuss and consider the Township's Community Development Block Grant 2023 Annual Action Plan. The Community Development Block Grant allocation for fiscal year 2023 is estimated to be $278,823. A public hearing will be held on February 16, 2023 at 2 p.m. in Old Bridge Township Administration Building located at 1 Old Bridge Plaza, Old Bridge, New Jersey 08857 in second floor conference room 217. Item number 3, recycling tonnage grant. We're happy to announce Old Bridge Township is one of the top 5 towns in Middlesex County to receive over $100,000 to help enhance waste reduction and fund recycling programs. For reporting year 2023, Old Bridge will receive $116,123.75 grant for various recycling initiative that includes curbside recycling program, the recycling drop-off center, hazardous waste day, paper shred events, and more. Item number 4, anchor program. We remind residents that extended deadline to apply for anchor program is Tuesday, February 28th. For a full list of qualification and detail on how to apply, please visit the New Jersey Division of Taxation website or call 877-658-2972. I already announced the 2023 municipal budget. Proposed item number 6, proposed 2023 capital bond ordinance is already announced, and so is item number 7, 2023 cap index ordinance. Item number 8, police department. The police department is currently seeking full-time officers through an alternate route, PTC certified or SLEO Class 2 officers who are waiver eligible. Application will be available for pickup on Thursday, February 16, between the hours of 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. Happy Valentine's Day.
Very much. Anyone have any question or comment for Mr. Shah's report? Mr. Piscatty.
Thank you, Mr. Shah. Good report.
Thank you.
Do you know how many police officers we're actually looking to hire?
I believe 3.
3? Oh, okay, thank you. I'd like to move it.
Second.
Okay, moved by Mr. Piscatty, second by Dr. Greenberg.
I just wanted to,
I'm sorry.
I just wanted to mention something about the anchor program. I had gone to my accountant to do my taxes today, and he said so few people are applying for this because they don't realize the income level is quite high to qualify for it. So I encourage people to go online and look. Actually, if you rent, you're also you qualify some money. I think a lot of people are missing out on quite a bit of money. I think it's $150,000 for a couple. So everybody, please go online and check out if you're qualified, because I think a lot of people do, and you just don't know about it, and don't miss out on this.
I just want to add to that anchor program. This anchor program applies to resident as well as tenant also. So it's a 1,500 maximum, and which you will receive direct in your bank account, which you will provide during the qualification. It's as Councilwoman said, it's 150,000 income for married filing joint and 75,000 for single. So it's a very high threshold. So almost 75% people in the state, according to their estimate, will qualify for this. So I recommend everybody, if you didn't file, still there is a time. Only important part that they have mailed the oversized mail green color. If you have lost it, you may have some trouble because you need a PIN number which was provided in that pamphlet. But this 877 number will provide you a PIN number once they identify who you are. So I encourage everyone to make sure and apply for this. It's a good amount of $1,500. It's an old homestead rebate program. They converted little differently. And last year, as we all heard, that New Jersey had a surplus. So governor and legislature approved this big amount. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Everyone's good? Okay, so there was a motion and a second to accept? Yeah.
Councilperson DeCaro.
Yes.
Councilperson De Palma.
Yes.
Councilperson Desai.
Yes.
Councilperson Garcia.
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli.
Yes.
Councilperson Murphy.
Yes.
Councilperson Paskiddy.
Yes.
Councilperson Walker.
Yes.
Council President Soar.
Yes.
9 yeses.
Public comment on any subject matter for a maximum period of 3 minutes.
The public comment portion of our meeting is to allow the public to bring to the council's attention their concerns or comments. This section is open for any topic or items in the consent agenda in accordance with NJSA 10:4-12A and the Old Bridge Rules of Council. The council asks the public to limit their comments to 3 minutes or less. Only one member of the public should approach to speak to council at a time. The council will respect the public's time by refraining any comment until the speaker is finished with their allotted time. It should be further noted that the public comment portion of our meeting is not structured as a question and answer session. If a member of the public has questions they seek answers to, an appointment can be made with the corresponding department's office during regular business hours. The township clerk will regulate the time during the comment portion of our meeting.
Okay. All right, is there anyone in the public who wishes to be heard?
I'm just going to make sure this on. Hi, Nina Joknowitz, West Greystone Road. Folks, you know my address. So I was really excited you guys were talking about the lighting around town. I realize that you're really talking about the HOAs and replacing the bulbs with LEDs, but it got me wondering about what is the town doing about finding an energy consultant? You know, you have to have an energy consultant. There was a vote by the town, right? The members of the community voted to have us reassess, review the energy coming into this town and have it be a green policy. Remember this, Himashu? This is probably more to you than the rest of the council, but I was wondering if you found anybody yet. It was more than a year ago that volunteers got all the signatures that was required to actually put it to a vote, and then you asked to have it put to a public vote, which passed overwhelmingly. And I'm concerned that you might be a little delayed because I haven't heard anything about this, or not?
No, not yet.
You haven't found a person, or no, not yet, you're not delayed? I mean, I know it has to be done by November 23rd of 2000, this year, and you have a bunch of elections going on.
You're going to let me answer that? We haven't, we are aware of that. We haven't found anybody yet that really we want to make sure that we have it right.
Well, you did have an energy consultant that picked for the township, correct? That you found, is that person not available, or no?
We do not have an energy consultant. We do have an energy auction purchase program that we use, but they're not the consultant for the plan that was approved by voters.
Okay, so do you have a timeline for opening up that bid for finding the person? Or is there anything that we can do in the township to help you find that correct person?
We'll be looking into that after the budget.
After the budget, you mean after March 28th? And when you start talking about the budget? Or,
we will be working on that program after we complete the budget, because we have to focus our energy on the budget.
I understand. I just want to make sure that you guys keep it on the radar, because it's supposed to be due the end of this year, right, 23rd. And that's about it. Happy Valentine's Day. Really happy about Sam Thompson's switch. I'm excited about it, and I hope all of everybody here on the council is. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now we'll go to council comments. Are you ready for council comments? Council comments, I'm sorry. No, it's okay. Just tired.
Yes, thank you. Well, I'd just like to offer my condolences, as was stated in the beginning of the meeting, to the families of the two New Jersey council members who were tragically murdered within these past few weeks, the one in Sayreville and the one in Milford. I just want to say that my heart breaks for those families, left behind, and the loss that these two communities have suffered. And I'd just like to suggest that if there is any calls for any support or aid, that we can somehow contribute either personally or as a group, being, especially Sayreville is just one town over. My heart just goes out to their families. On another note, I would like to say happy Valentine's Day to everyone, and, in light of everything, hug your family and appreciate, everything. And that's it. Thank you.
Councilperson DePalma.
Thank you. Just wanted to wish everyone a happy Valentine's Day. Hope everyone got to spend time with their families, whether it's this morning, this afternoon, tonight. Also, I guess the obligatory, please everyone drive safely. Route 9 is not a racetrack. And I have heard, and now that the weather's a little bit nicer, the people are racing their car engines, whether that's just the racing of their car engines or the speed that they're going. Slow down. We don't need any more tragic accidents in our township, whether it's from our township residents or if it's from outside residents. Please drive as safe as you can, get home, and make sure everyone else around you gets home. Thank you.
Councilperson Desai.
I just want to wish everyone happy Valentine's Day. Be safe. Luckily, we have a good weather. In this inflation mode, we are saving money on heating, at least. So that's, I thank God. It's a bad thing because the cycle, the weather cycle throughout the world is changing, where it should not be a winter like India. Right now, India has a winter. And we here have no winter, no snow. So everybody be safe. Thank you.
Councilperson Garcia.
Yes, thank you. Happy Valentine's Day, to everybody out there. Make sure you take care of your significant other, of course. I went to dinner tonight, so I was good. And John, good luck with your health. Councilman Murphy, good luck. That's all I have. Thank you.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli.
Oh, yes. First of all, I just want to let everyone know that it's worthwhile to take a trip over to the library to see the art exhibits that are going on. They've done great work with the displays. They're displaying residents' artwork also from the schools. They've done it in every different section, whether it's middle school, high school, grade school. So it's really worth it. It's showcasing the residents, and we have a lot of talent in this town. Really, you won't see anything from me there, unfortunately. And also, I think it's done very tastefully, and I just want to thank the Cultural Arts Program that's putting these programs together for us throughout the town, and thank Rosemary Rivoli for her hard work and dedication, and the people at the library are helping with the showcases, the cases, and everything. It's great. I want to wish everyone a happy Valentine's Day to all. And remember, love is a commitment, a consistent and determined decision to think of others first, to put their needs above your own. So spread the love. Thank you.
Councilperson Murphy.
Hi. As I said before, happy Valentine's Day. I also feel very sorry for those two council people that were murdered. Anita, what you did to Tony was uncalled for. You illegally convinced him to change his vote, a vote that he proposed. He proposed that. You even at one time put your hands on him. You can polygraph anything I say tonight. It's all true. In my opinion, Anita, if you're talking, you are lying. I spoke. Now, Eric, I don't know what happened. I thought you were going to run for mayor, but I guess Anita.
John, is this, honestly, is this council?
I don't really care.
No, I don't, wait, but John, listen to me.
I thought you were going to run.
Council,
but I guess Anita told you
is
you
this
weren't.
council related to
He doesn't
council
understand.
residents and people? I mean, honestly.
Be quiet, please, while I'm talking.
John, you're not talking about anything for the residents. What about?
This is about
right,
council vote. This is about me and her.
But don't you think you should be talking about the residents?
Yeah, I did.
It makes no sense.
Anita,
It makes.
you had 5 people knock me off of the OBMUA. As of right now, I am running for at-large. I hope you are the one that I beat, because I will have nobody with me. I'm going to take a lot of it out. By you not putting me back on the MUA, I am losing my license and probably I am losing my job, my other job. I told you, I am an eye for an eye. So you can tell your partner, I am now coming after your business, and I will talk about the illegal things that you did that you used to call me about. That's not a threat. That's what I'm going to do.
Okay, you're threatening me. You're telling
that's not a
stories,
threat.
and it's
It's
ridiculous.
gonna
And let me
happen.
just say one thing with the MUA. It is not the onus of the MUA to provide tests for you to have a license. What is your job? Who are the people? What's the name of your company? What's your EIN? Where are you licensed at? Who are your clients? This is absurd, John.
Okay, I'll
it's
answer
not
that.
about your
I'll answer
business.
that. You had every
The township
Republican
is
vote
not
against
supposed to pay for your business. I did nothing. I did nothing, John. I'm one vote. I am one vote. Thank you. Have a good night.
Get my license now.
Luck to you. I wish you all the well with your health. I wish you all the well with your health.
I'm coming after yours.
Good luck.
I will.
get some
Will
order
you
here.
just let me finish?
John,
I make a motion to adjourn.
I second.
You can't adjourn.
yes, there's a motion on the floor.
You have to vote on that.
Right.
Yep. Roll call.
Let him finish his comment.
Oh,
Motion on the floor.
there's a motion on the floor.
Robert's Rules of Order.
Wait, I'm still talking.
Clear, this is a motion on the floor to adjourn, correct? Okay, just want to make sure I got it right.
You're getting, I went to the office to get an ethics complaint. They told me there, you're better off taking 3, you'll get more people filling it out and it will work. And I'm sure I will win that ethics thing.
Councilperson, on the motion and second for a adjournment, Councilperson DeCaro.
I told you if it hurt my business, I will destroy
Councilperson
yours.
De Palma.
So tell your partner I'm coming.
Councilperson Desai. Yes. Councilperson Garcia.
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli.
Yes.
Councilperson Murphy.
Yes.
Councilperson Pasquitti.
Yes.
Councilperson Walker.
Yes.
Council President Sohar.
Yes.